Welcome to the Cultural Awareness Series, where we merge the understanding of the term culture, both in human society and microbiology, by highlighting microbiologists you may have never heard of. Today, we will be learning about Alice Ball. Alice was a young chemist whose life was tragically cut short at age 24 following a laboratory accident. Her contributions to the field of science had been hidden until a group of researchers in the early 2000s shed light on her story and exposed the man that took credit for her greatest discovery, the first successful treatment for leprosy. Ball was born in 1892 in Seattle, Washington. Her father, James, was a lawyer and journalist for the Colored Citizen, a newspaper for African Americans, while her mother, Laura, was a photographer. Ball was one of four siblings and grew up in a middle-class, well-off home. Ball's grandfather, James Ball Sr., was a prominent African American photographer that lived with the family. In 1903, the Ball family moved to Hawaii in hopes of the warm weather improving James Ball Sr.'s declining health. However, he passed away in 1904, and the Ball family moved back to Seattle in 1905. Alice graduated Seattle High School in 1910 and continued her education at the University of Washington. Her love of chemistry is suspected to have begun with her family's interest in photography, as well as her father, mother, and grandfather working with various chemicals to help develop their photos. Ball graduated with a degree in pharmaceutical chemistry in 1912 and a degree in pharmacy in 1914 from the University of Washington. During her time as an undergraduate student, Ball published work in the Journal of the American Chemical Society, which was rare for a woman of color. Ball's spectacular resume resulted in the offer of multiple scholarships to attend graduate school. In 1914, Ball accepted a position at the College of Hawaii, now the University of Hawaii, to work on a graduate degree in chemistry. During her time as a graduate student, she worked extensively with the kava plant to determine what chemical properties could be isolated and used in medicine. In 1915, Ball became the first woman and first Black American to graduate with a master's degree from the College of Hawaii. Toward the end of completing her graduate degree, Ball was approached by Dr. Harry Holman, who served as a surgeon at Kalili Hospital in Hawaii. Holman was also conducting research into effective treatments for leprosy patients. In the 1900s, leprosy was a disease avoided by doctors and researchers due to the contagious nature of the bacterial disease, with no treatment available. People diagnosed with leprosy were sent to a leper colony on the Hawaii island of Molokai, which was a death sentence as they would not be able to return. The best treatment available was chalmugra oil, but the side effects were often worse than the disease of leprosy itself. Therefore, Holman was interested in recruiting researchers to study the chemical properties of the chalmugra plant to determine if there was a more effective application for treatment. Ball began research on the chalmugra plant, working late nights in the lab to isolate a compound that might be able to treat leprosy patients. In between her chalmugra research with Holman, Ball was the first African-American research chemist and instructor for the chemistry department at the College of Hawaii. Here, Ball was subject to extensive acts of racism and sexism from both students as well as her peers. In particular, Arthur Dean, a chemist and Ball's graduate advisor at the college, had difficulty acknowledging Ball's scientific brilliance. In 1915, at age 23, Ball's extensive research on the chalmugra plant was rewarded. She developed a process, later known as the Ball method, to make the plant oil safely injectable and absorbable by the body. The Ball method was a revolutionary breakthrough that helped advance leprosy treatment and research. Unfortunately, Alice Ball would never be able to publish or see the long-term results of her discovery. In 1916, Ball was exposed to chlorine gas while performing a laboratory with students at the college. Ball became so ill following this episode that she returned to Seattle to be with her family. This is where she died on December 31st, 1916, due to chlorine poisoning at the age of 24. Many events happen following Ball's death that reflect the brutality of science and influence of racism within the field. Arthur Dean, Ball's graduate advisor, had heard of Ball's research and untimely death. He quickly picked up Ball's research and published his method, labeling it the Dean method instead. Dr. Harry Holman, the surgeon who had recruited Ball to conduct research on the Chalmuger plant for leprosy treatment, was outraged by Dean's behavior and published a paper in 1922 crediting Ball with her discovery, introducing it as the Ball method. Unfortunately, Holman's attempts to credit Ball were not acknowledged by the scientific community because of Dean's influential position at the College of Hawaii. Ball remained hidden from the scientific world until a group of researchers in the 1970s found her research and made efforts to publicize her work. However, it wasn't until 2000 when a plaque was placed next to the only Chalmuger plant on the University of Hawaii Honolulu campus, recognizing Ball's work. Several acknowledgments followed, including declaring February 29th as Alice Ball Day and numerous awards and scholarships being offered in her honor. However, her discovery still remains largely unknown by the scientific community. University of Hawaii students, upon learning about Alice Ball in 2000, have been vocal about the college's lack of effort to resolve the actions of Arthur Dean. Students have proposed renaming Dean Hall, an academic building on the University of Hawaii campus, to Ball Hall. However, this is still disputed among college officials. Today, we can take the time to educate others on the strong woman that helped save numerous lives through her devotion to leprosy research. In the end, we can shape the future by remembering and sharing to others about Alice Ball being a driven young chemist that helped change the world of medicine.